I met with a dietitian and I'm going to tell you all about it. Good morning, everybody. It's Allie. I'm on a fantabulous weight loss quest, and hopefully you'll subscribe, come along for the ride, because I put out new videos every day. Okay, it's very early in the morning. Kevin is not fully awake yet, but he's thinking about being awake. And I had my very first appointment with a dietitian yesterday, and I just could not wait to tell you guys about it. First things first, I want to say that for people who are not as well versed in nutrition, that meeting with a dietitian is a phenomenal option. And I 1000% recommend it, especially if your insurance covers it. And I recommend that you do it at the beginning of your journey. Now, I didn't feel the need to do that because I am well versed in nutrition because of being a canine nutritionist. And there are many things that are, like the base nutrition knowledge is the same, right? It's just different creatures. So, there are varying aspects, but I won't bore you with all that. So, but now that I have lost over 100 pounds and my goals have changed, they've kind of shifted, I felt like it was important to, meet with a dietitian, see what kind of changes I could be making, right, so that I can achieve those goals. So what are those goals? First and foremost, I had a lot of people comment on my last video where I was talking about, how much weight I've lost and how much I lost on each box of Mounjaro, which is the same thing as Zepbound, Tirzepatide. So if that information interests you, then definitely go check out that video. But I had a ton of people who commented and they were like, hey, Allie, I thought you didn't have a goal weight. Have you set a goal weight? And the answer is no, I still haven't. For those of you who are new, I did not set a specific goal weight. I have had weight loss goals along the way, but I have not set like an end goal because I have not been in a healthy weight range since I was in high school. So I wasn't even done cooking then, right? Like I was still a child. So I don't know, and I don't have any experience being in an adult body and being in a healthy weight range. I know what the BMI says. I know what my doctor says a healthy range is, but I have specific goals in mind that have to deal with, increasing my muscle mass, right? Toning up, adding muscle, becoming more proficient in movement, right? And I have a lot of things that I want to do activity-wise. So being in that normal BMI range, right, for my age and height may not be a reasonable goal, right? Anytime that you're going to be adding muscle to the body, right? Obviously, muscle has weight. So, choosing some arbitrary number may not be good for me from a mental health standpoint. And it may also not be feasible because, again, I have never been in a healthy weight range in my adult life. So I don't even know what that looks like. But my doctor and I are just kind of playing it by ear. And a lot of it is going to be determined from a health aspect, and not so much a number on the scale aspect. So, having said that, I still have a ways to go. So don't you worry about that. I'm still on top of this game. Okay, so right up front, my dietitian said that she loved that I did not have a goal weight. I had to fill out this entire questionnaire. I felt like I was taking a nutrition test in college, and it was fantastic. I loved it. And one of the questions had to deal with, what is your goal weight or what is your ideal weight and why? And I specifically stated that I didn't have one and all the reasons why that I just explained to you. And she loved that. She was like, this is great. She said that, she works with a lot of women specifically, and she has to spend a lot of her time initially in the beginning teaching them nutrition, right? Because we're not taught nutrition in school. And also undoing everything that they've learned through diet culture. And through the conversations that she and I had, she was like, oh my gosh, you are going to be great because I don't have to do that. And I was like, yeah, you're kind of coming in towards the end of my quest here, and my goal is to start adding muscle, right? Really pick up my game as far as, resistance training and weightlifting, and start to focus on body composition rather than just focusing on weight loss, which is what I was doing before. And for those of you who are new, when I first started out at my highest weight, which was 285, I did not work out at all. Because I was deathly afraid that I was going to injure myself and it was just going to be bad. Because I hadn't done any kind of activity in 10 plus years. So I was like, if I just jump into this and start doing cardio and working out and all this stuff, right? Basically anything other than just walking or being outside playing with the dogs, my concern was that I was going to put undue stress on my joints and that I was going to injure myself, which was going to set me back. So I did not start out working out. And now that I have gotten underneath the 200-pound mark, right, and I'm continuing to lose, now my focus is, okay, weight loss is still important. I'm still going to be tracking it, but the gears have switched. And so now I'm going to start focus on putting on muscle. One of the reasons for this, many people do this to help with loose skin, right? To help overall with how they look physically. I'm not so much concerned about that because I have loose skin. I will be doing an updated video to show you what my body composition looks like currently so that you can see the loose skin. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do that. So I'm not doing it so much for, trying to fill in loose skin or anything like that. I have been reading up on studies of women specifically as they age. And the latest one that just came out, and I wish that I had saved the link to it so I could link it for you. If I find it, I'll link it in the description box below. Anyway, it was talking about women, and what improvements they have as they age if they put on anywhere from 12 to 20% muscle before they turn 60. Now, if you are over the 60 mark, you can still put muscle on. This study, that was just kind of the cutoff point. So if you're over 60, I want you to keep watching because it's important. But essentially, the study showed that, the more muscle you put on before you turn 60, the better off you'll be, the healthier you'll be. And there were all these contributing factors. And essentially, these women were just better off, which makes perfect sense, right? It seems like common sense that if you go into your older years and you have more muscle mass, right? That keeps your metabolism up. It allows you to put in more movement. More movement equals healthier, right? All of these things. And I'm giving you a very brief overview of the study. There were a lot of different factors. So anyway, I was talking to my wife about this, and I was like, I think this needs to be our focus for the rest of the journey. Do I still need to lose weight? Yes. Am I going to? Yes. Is it going to happen slower? Yes, it's already slowed down. So putting on the muscle is going to be essential. Now, when I was talking to my dietitian, I was like, okay, so here is my calorie range. Here is my calorie deficit that I'm currently working with, that I am consistently losing anywhere from 0.2 to 1 pounds per week at this point. And I let her know what my current, cardio and resistance training looks like. She was like, that's fantastic. And I let her know, looking at everything, what would you change? So she said that if I'm going to start putting on muscle, I'm going to have to up my calories. And we went over this in detail because she was very concerned that most women / people who are trying to lose weight, when you tell them you're going to need to consume more calories if you want to build muscle, they have a tendency to freak out. And I told her, I was like, no. For me, it's I need to know how many calories I need to add and specifically what kind. So this is the information that she relayed to me. So she said that if you are starting to work out, right, not just resistance train, not just cardio, but specifically weightlifting to build muscle, right? You're going to be maxing out and trying to increase muscle mass. Then she said, if you find that you're getting tired either throughout the day or during your workout, she said you may want to increase your carbs by 15 to 20 grams before your workout. Now, many people who are familiar with people who run marathons or, people who do weightlifting or bodybuilding or things of that nature, you've probably heard of carb loading, which is a much more extreme version of what she's recommending. So she was like, just 15, 20 grams, complex carbs if you can help it. And then really it should help you to have the energy for your workout and then to continue throughout the day. And for those of you who are new, I am doing lower carb, not low carb, not keto, because of my type 2 diabetes, but I do consume carbs. It's one of the beauties of this medication. It helps your body to function properly. So that was her first recommendation. The second was to add anywhere from 200 to 300 calories by upping my protein. Now, I am currently doing at least 30 grams of protein per meal. I prioritize protein, and I also prioritize protein for snacks, if I can help it. So she was very happy with that. She was very happy with the protein that I'm doing currently, but she was like, if you're going to start putting on muscle, you've got to get that protein up. So we're looking at upping the protein, anywhere from 20 to 30 more grams, right? Which would put me at the 120 to 130 grams of protein per day. Currently I'm getting about 90 to 100, depending on the day. And sometimes more than that, right? Because I track everything. So that's what she recommended. She had a lot of really great recommendations that I have actually been seeing from dietitians on TikTok as well, where if you're going to have carbs, right? So for example, if you love chips, then pair those chips with a protein like a Greek yogurt ranch dip or something else to really get the protein in with the carbs. Not only is it going to keep you fuller longer, but it's also going to help you to reach those protein goals. So I got some really good ideas about that. And the other thing that she mentioned was about the constipation, which for the majority of us on these medications is just something you have to deal with. So I explained to her what I've been doing, and apparently constipation is something that she has struggled with in her life, and she is not on a GLP-1. And her doctor had recommended to her to do a half dose of Miralax every day, and that it was perfectly fine to do that even as much as 3 times a day, a half dose. And I was like, okay, wow, that seems like a lot of Miralax. But she was like, it's a better option than doing a more stimulant laxative, because I did explain to her that I do not let it go. Hey, you need a blanket, bud? Okay, come lay down. Kevin got cold. Lay down. Okay, you're a good boy. There you go. Okay, now he's good. So I did explain to her that I do not allow myself to go past the 3-day mark. If I do not have a bowel movement in 3 days, then I will take a laxative. I don't have to do that all the time, but that is kind of like my threshold for, okay, we have now reached critical time and I'm going to take something and go, because I don't want to end up in the ER with a blockage. And she laughed and she was like, that's perfectly fine. I completely understand. She's like, try the Miralax half dose. Just do it once per day and then up it to twice a day if you need to. Again, 3 times a day if you need to. Again, a half dose. So that's what her doctor had recommended to her and that she found worked really well. So we talked a lot about vegetables, which is fine. And she was so sweet. She was so sweet. I really enjoyed just genuinely speaking with her, because, she was giving me all of these meal ideas, which I loved. There were a lot of, tweaking a salad type ideas. There were bean salad ideas, which were great. And, just talking about getting more vegetables and more fiber in general, because that is one of my goals, to increase my fiber. But it was so funny. She was talking about, yeah, so how often, are you eating vegetables and what are you doing? And I was like, well, it's funny you mentioned that. I've been on a grilled chicken Caesar salad kick lately. So I've been having it every day for lunch. And she was like, oh, okay, every day for lunch. So like, how often is every day for lunch? And I was like, oh no, when I say every day for lunch, I mean, I've hyperfixated on chicken Caesar salads and I'm literally eating it every day for lunch. So for like the last 2 weeks, that's what I've been having for lunch. And she was cracking up and she was like, okay, well, at least I'm not going to have to fight you to eat more vegetables. It sounds like you were doing just fine with that. And I was like, yeah, I'll hyperfixate on something and then that's what I eat, for the next few weeks. So she was pretty entertained by that. Overall, the visit was a huge success. We're going to check back in 4 weeks. She even gave me some recommendations for some local gyms that are women only, which I thought was a fantastic recommendation that I honestly had not considered. I was really just looking at what's the closest and what's the cheapest. But now that I've kind of reached the point where I'm going to have to start getting up and going to the gym, it's going to be both important, the distance and the cost, right? But it's also going to be important, comfort level. I'm going to be dragging my wife along with me. And also the quality of the place. I haven't been going to a gym since since college, and we had a gym on campus that, right, you could just use for free. That's how long it's been. It's been a minute. So, I've been doing my research. I've got a couple of places lined up. I figure maybe this weekend or next weekend, I'll go check some of them out. Obviously, I want my wife to go with me so she can, put in her opinion. And, yeah, I'll take you guys along for the ride on that one, just in case any of you are, looking at joining a gym or what you need to look for. And, I'm excited to see what they have to offer. I'm not excited about spending the money, but for those of you who are new, I live in a very old, very small house, and, setting up some type of, weight training area, like I had to give up half of my office just to have my Peloton bike. So setting up a weight training area, not really feasible in this house, unfortunately. So I think it will be, if we move into something bigger in the future. But for now, I think that a gym membership is probably going to be the way to go. So anyway, super excited. Highly recommend that you find yourself a qualified dietitian that you jive with. Make sure that if you're going off of a doctor's recommendation or referral to a dietitian, that you specifically ask them, are they GLP-1 supportive? And are they GLP-1 knowledgeable? Those two key points were the two questions that I asked my doctor. And I made it very clear to them, if they're not GLP-1 supportive and they're not GLP-1 knowledgeable, I'm not interested and I'm not going to go. So don't even make that recommendation if you either don't know or you're not sure, because it's just going to be a waste of everybody's time and I'm not going to be happy with you. But my doctor, she came through for me, and I now have a dietitian who is both knowledgeable about GLP-1s and also super supportive. So I'm very, very lucky in that regard. But I just wanted to mention that here in case you are looking to meet with a dietitian. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. It helps my channel. If you haven't already, subscribe. I'd love to have you along for the ride. If you are looking for a positive-only support group, I've got you covered. Link is in the description box below. And as always, be kind, rewind.